Hi everyone, this is Jonathan from MtG Modern Ad Nauseam, and today I'm very excited because this is the first video of my brand new channel. So as you can expect, based on the name of the channel, so MtG Modern Ad Nauseam, it's going to be about ad nauseam in modern, and the structure of this channel will be about me broadcasting quite a bit of match that I play on MTGO with ad nauseam. So I will only share competitive match, and I've planned to share leagues so far. So how the channel will be structured is I will release a video which will be a deck tech, like this video that you're watching now is a deck tech of the deck that I'm going to register for the league. Then the next 5 video will be the actual matches, and then I will release a final video that I will call the wrap up, just so that we can reflect on the deck that we've just played over the last 5 games and see what worked well and what didn't work so well, and then we can get some insights to what things we can change for the next league and things like that. So here it is. I don't want to spend more time in introduction, and I really want to jump right into it. Show the deck that I'm planning to bring for the next league, and then just jump straight in and play some games. So here it is. I'm just gonna start and show you what I'm planning to bring. So I'm not gonna go back to the basics. If you don't know what ad nauseam is in modern, I'll just suggest to. There's a lot of videos online on YouTube about very basic deck tech, how Angel Grace ad nauseam works, Fear Action Life, etc. So I would suggest just to go and watch like really basic deck tech. In here, I just want to share the design of the deck from a more experienced point of view. So why I've chosen the deck for the next league. So of course, Angel Grace ad nauseam, play set of each. I don't want to talk more in detail about it. That's just the core of the deck. I play the 8 cantrip for Serum Vision 4 sleight of hand. On that, I don't think I have much thing to comment as well. That's very standard. We really love the cantrip, especially that you will see that list. It's a fetchless list. So every sleight of hand or Serum Vision, whatever we scry we put at the bottom, it will remain at the bottom for the rest of the game, assuming we don't get Ghost Quarter, anything like that that will make shuffle library. We do not shuffle our library at all, based on our cards. So it makes it even more powerful. And I say that because even though there is not much to say about playing this cantrip, I will never sideboard it. To me, this is part of the core of the deck, and I know that some player they're happy to remove a few sleight of hand. Sometimes I've seen people removing Serum Vision as well, just to get a bit of space for some sideboard card. I will never do it because to me it is very critical to get all the cantrip, because we're gonna play only 20 land, as we can see here, and cantrips, it's part of that strategy of playing only 20 land. We are a deck that can combo at 5 or 6 mana, so we need mana. Of course, we're gonna have mana rocks, but sometimes we're just gonna combo out of our land, and we just want this cantrip to ensure that we have regular land drop. So very important cantrip. We play 8. I wish I could play more. It's just that unfortunately we have 60 cards and we need to make deck balance. But I've tried all the versions with a bit more cantrip. Always nice to have. But that version is the Spoils of the Vault version. So we're gonna limit to 8 cantrip. So let's go to the next card. So Spoils of the Vault. For those who are not very familiar with the card, it's a very standard card now in ad nauseam, which means that most of the results that you can see on MTG Top 8 or the last GP winner, the ad nauseam GP winner, played also the Spoils of the Vault version. So it's just a 1 mana cost tutor, but that comes with great risk. So we can name a card, usually Ad Nauseam, and we can reveal cards from the top of our library until we get this Ad Nauseam. And we're gonna exile all the cards that were not Ad Nauseam, and lose 1 life for each card exiled that way. So I was not a big fan of Spoil of the Vault at first, and then I kind of learned to appreciate it. And to me, it's wrong to consider this as a 5th to 7th Ad Nauseam. It's actually much more than that. It can be used as a 5th, 6th, 7th Ad Nauseam, but it's much more than that. It can be used to, we can name, if we do a scry, we can simply name the card that's on top of a library, because we know it's on top. So we can simply just draw it. It's pretty, the value is not great, but sometimes when we already have the combo in hand and we're looking for other things, it can just help us draw, just as a draw engine. So it's useful. Sometimes it can just it can help us. Let's say we know that we know a specific land on top on our deck, and we don't have a land in hand. So instead of missing a land drop, we can use Spells of the Vault to get the land and play the land. These kind of things that can make a lot of difference. And I would say one of my best line of play, my favorite line of play is actually Spells for a white mana source. And of course, spoiling for white mana source is very dangerous, because we could just die for it. Because using spoil for Ad Nauseam, once we've started a combo, if we do Angel Grace and then spoil, we're not going to die from it, because we already either, if we have Phyrexian Life or Angel Grace activated, we won't die from it. We can just exile our win con on too many Simian Spirit Guide or too many land. A lot of ways of to die from Spoil of the Vault, but we can't die from the life, the loss of life. While if we actually are spoiled for Phyrexian Life and Angel Grace, we could just die from it. But based on my experience with Spoil of the Vault, that's where the cards becomes great, because it's actually a piece of combo that's either Ad Nauseam or also a white piece of combo. It can be used in both situations, even though one is riskier than the other. But I have a few examples of some win that I've done by just doing a Spoil of the Vault turn 2 to search for a Phyrexian Life, and then cast Phyrexian Life turn 3 and then combo turn 4. This kind of play. So this card is very powerful. It needs to be seen as a tutor, a 1 mana cost tutor, and not just simply a 5th to 7th Ad Nauseam. Let's carry on. I mentioned Phyrexian Life. I play 4 Phyrexian Life. Some deck like to have 3. I used to like having 3, just because there's not much use having double or triple Phyrexian Life in hand, while having multiple Angel Grace is something that we don't mind at all, because it can buy us turn, things like that. So why 4 Phyrexian Life? It's because of Spoil of the Vault, because we want to be able to name Phyrexian Life with Spoil of the Vault. It's going to help us in a lot of situations, I believe, and having 4 decrease the risk of just dying from it. And anyway, it's just one more piece of combo, so it won't hurt to have more Phyrexian Life. That could be a spot used for maybe a cantrip or more interaction, maybe whether Slow the Pact or Pact and Negation. Some people rather have another piece of interaction, but here I will go with the full playset of Phyrexian Life. Nothing to say about 4 Simian Spirit Guide. That's very standard. We technically don't need 4. I've seen some deck playing only 3. Well, technically we don't need any. We could play Ad Nauseam without any Spirit Guide. It would just be a terrible deck, because we would need 8 or 9 mana to combo off, depending on whether we're on Phyrexian Life or Angel Grace. This Simian Spirit Guide just allows us to get the red mana to cast Lightning Storm for free, pretty much. But we don't need. I often sideboard 1 Simian Spirit Guide, because I don't like sideboarding cantrip. Of course I don't like sideboarding combo piece, but sometimes I will have to remove a few Fear Action and Life, and sometimes I will also remove Spoil of the Vault. But I also like removing one Simian Spirit Guide, because we don't necessarily need the 4. It's good to speed up, so we can use one Simian Spirit Guide for actual mana to combo, and then use the 3 other after we draw our library. So removing one, it will be very common when we play against, let's say, control deck, things like that. That doesn't require this additional burst of speed. Moving to the land, the mana base. So we're playing 20 land, and once again, it's going to be very standard. I decided to play a very standard and sound deck list as my first video because just want to share my goal is really to share how strong I believe Ad Nauseam is, and I want to start by just playing a very standard list, just to introduce the deck, and later on we'll definitely try some tricks and try some more funny list with a bit of twist. But let's start with the standard fetchless mana base, which means 4 Darkslick Shore, so 4 blue and black fast land, 4 Gemstone Mine, so yeah, great card that's helping us with all the mana because we technically play 4 colors if we're looking at the red, and even though we only have the Lightning Storm that costs red, sometimes we might exile too many Spirit Guide, or we might want to use them as mana. So we might need the red mana from the Gemstone Mine. So we definitely need that card here. 2 planes because of Blood Moon. Blood Moon is a very good card against us, and why we want planes is because we're going to play Mana Rocks, so we're going to have the playset, 2 playset of Lotus Bloom and Pentaprism. If we can have either Pentaprism or Lotus Bloom in play, then we have the white black. That we need to combo off. So planes, it's critical to combo off, more critical than swamp, because if we have 1 swamp and 1 Pentaprism, we're good to go. If we have 1 swamp and 1 Lotus Bloom, we cannot go, because Lotus Bloom is going to produce triple white or triple black, and we won't be able to go off from there. So it's very important to have a plane. That's our more important mana. So if we play against Blood Moon and we can drop a plane, we'll be. It doesn't mean we're in great shape, but at least we just need a mana rock to get our mana base. And also we'll see the interaction with Patrician Scorn later in the sideboard. I'll come to that later. 4 Seachrome Coast, so that's the blue and white fast land. 4 Temple of Deceit. So I play 6 Temple altogether. 4 blue and black. So the temples are the Scryland, enter tapped and scry. Very good in that deck because once again we do not fetch, we do not shuffle our library. Everything that we put at the bottom will stay at the bottom. And it also interacts very well with Spoil of the Vault because when we want to spoil for a card that we haven't seen yet, and knowing that we've scried, let's say in the past, we know that we haven't seen the card before, so all the bottom of the deck will be full of cards that we don't need, and then our Spoil of the Vault has more chance to hit the card that we want. So temples are very good. Temples enter tapped. It will happen when we get screwed because I would have won with a non-tap land, but we lose because it enters tapped. It will happen. It has happened in the past. But overall, the scry is just in that deck because the deck doesn't need card advantage. You just need 2 cards and mana. So the scry is extremely powerful in the deck, even regardless of Spoil of the Vault or the fetchless. Scry is still very powerful. We're playing 2 Wincon in the main, very standard Lab Maniac Lightning Storm, so we can pretty much deal with all the situation here. We want 2, and we are most likely leaving the 2 win condition when we play spoils. Not most likely we will. If we want to play Spoil of the Vault, we need to win con. Because there is too much risk just to exile it from Spoil of the Vault, so we want to. We can remove one win con if we want to play without spoil after sideboard. Yeah, I think it's fine with that. I'm just not a big fan of removing win con because there is I'm always worried about deck takes from my opponent that I'm just not aware of. And some people just like to bring their own deck tech. They don't necessarily play all the decks that we see in MTG Top 8 or anything. So having this lab, usually it's the lab maniac that can deal with pretty much all the corner case. So I like keeping it, but sometimes I will just, if I remove spells, I can remove the maniac and keep the lightning storm. 3 Pact of Negation. What can I say about it? This card is just not in the deck. Counter for 0, knowing that we can do some very stupid things, like what I will call the Force of Will effect. What I call the Force of Will effect is doing a Pact of Negation and next turn during our upkeep casting Angel Grace, because it's pretty much a Force of Will. We have a hard counter for 0, and all we need to do is lose a card. So we'll just play Angel Grace the turn after, which is the equivalent, I would say, of the discard a card, discard blue card from Force of Will. So this is one trick. We can Pact of Negation multiple times, 2, 3, 4 times, and then play one Angel Grace the turn after. So it can be even more powerful than Force of Will if we have multiple. We can Pact of Negation and then combo with Angel Grace, not necessarily Angel Grace, but we can, if we already have Fictional Life, it works as well. But we can combo while the Pact of Negation trigger is on the stack. It will happen a lot. We'll do this a lot. So amazing in the deck. And it also most likely will just protect Ad Nauseam. We do Ad Nauseam. We have a few Pact of Negation in hand, and we start a counter war. And because we don't need to pay for our counter spell, we usually the counter war is usually heavily in our favor. So 3, why 3? Why not 4? It's just because Pact of Negation is always all or nothing. So it's usually for counter war. It can be used in a lot of corner situation, but usually it's used for counter war. So if we don't play against blue, we will remove them. And if we play against blue, we will bring the fourth one, which is hidden at the moment, but it's in the sideboard. And to finish, the 8 mana rocks, very important. The deck needs to combo with either 5 or 6 mana, depending whether it's Fictional Life or Angel Grace. This is our mana boost here. I don't have a preference between Prism and Bloom. I think these 2 cards are amazing in the deck, and we will see that, I would say, in half the situation, Pentat Prism is what we need, or Valorous Bloom, and the other half it will be a Valorous Bloom that can save us. I try not to sideboard them because it's very important. Against control deck, I will sideboard a few because we can allow to be a bit slower. So since our opponent is slower, we can just we have more chance to build up on mana. We don't need to rely on the mana rocks, and a Lawless Bloom against against deck that play Rimon, these kind of things. It's underwhelming, and Prism will hit Spell Snare quite a lot because that's the only target for Spell Snare in our main deck. So this is this kind of situation where we can afford to remove mana rocks, and usually when we have cards that are very good against deck and we don't really know what to sideboard, we usually want safe things to remove is just a couple of mana rocks. I'd rather do this than remove pieces of combo, than say remove Fictional Life. Or of course it depends on the situation, but usually when we not too sure, we can go with a Bloom or a Prism, depending on the situation. But we can be flexible on the mana rocks. So that's the main board. Well, if you are familiar with Ad Nauseam, all that I've just mentioned is pretty standard. You know pretty much all of it. There is no creativity at all in that deck, and that's on purpose. I want just to start by playing something very standard, very robust, that has seen a lot of play by pro players, by a lot of successful players in the past. So let's move to the sideboard. As you can see, if you already had a look at the corner, this is where I'm going to introduce a few of my personal cards, but it's going to be very little. So here is the sideboard. First thing, I will just reorganize. First thing, Leyline of Sanctity. To me, that's the best card of the deck. These cards is catering for our main weakness in an amazing way by costing 0, by even entering the battlefield before the game even starts by paying nothing. I mean, to me, if I could play more, I would probably bring it up to 6, 7, or maybe 8 Leyline of Sanctity, because it can, against deck like Jund or any like black-green X that base their first turn on discard, it can just win you the game outright. It's beautiful. We just love the card. It's the most powerful card in the deck, and I think Ad Nauseam is what it is today. It's not a tier 1 deck, but it's known to be a solid tier 2 deck, and to me it is only because of Leyline of Sanctity. If Leyline of Sanctity for some reason disappear tomorrow, I think Ad Nauseam will be non-existent deck. So that's how much I love the card, and that's very powerful. We want 4, and I don't want to debate anymore about this. If you play Ad Nauseam and don't play 4 Leyline of Sanctity, I just do not understand. The fourth Pile of Negation, it's pretty much the equivalent of Leyline of Sanctity. It costs 0. It's not as good. In a way that I think the deck, if we remove Pact of Negation from Modern, I think the deck could still go. We can replace it with 4 Dispel. It's definitely not as good, but that will still work in a less optimum way. But Pact of Negation is amazing. Be able to counter for nothing, and having some tricks with Angel Grace. Be able to combo on the stack. I've already talked about this, but we definitely want 4 in our 75. I will leave it to the end because that's kind of my personal addition. Echoing Truth is an amazing card to deal with pretty much everything every permanent. So let's say we're facing against Blood Moon, we're facing Spellskite, we're facing Leyline of Sanctity. All these things can interact in a bad way with our Lightning Storm combo. It can bounce a creature that can kill us that turn. It can bounce a Blood Moon. So if we manage to have just a blue mana available, we can bounce Blood Moon and then combo off. If we already have the land, we can do a lot of things with Echoing Truth, and that will. I will usually, when I'm not sure what my opponent is playing, can just bring an Echoing Truth and see, and hopefully it will cater for all the possibilities. And the good thing is, sometimes, let's say you play against Spellskite, what you can do is you can just combo off, and then you draw your whole library, and then so you do have Echoing Truth in hand, and then you can bounce whatever thing. You can bounce the Spellskite or bounce something that prevents you to combo off. If you play against, for example, what's the Platinum Angel? Just bounce it. Combo off first, bounce it. You just need, of course, more mana. It depends. You don't necessarily need 2 more mana. If you already, if you don't use your Simian Spirit Guide, it will cater for the colorless. So a lot of very good situation that can be dealt with thanks to Echoing Truth. Something very standard as well. It's just a discard. We can just Thoughtseize. Why Thoughtseize? Because Thoughtseize deal with everything. It seems pretty obvious. To me, it's much better than Inquisition of Kozilek in that deck. I think the loss, the 2 life loss, is not. It's not a problem here. It can make a difference in some corner case, but we want to be able to discard Slow the Games. We want to be able to discard Thought-Knot Seer. I could go on there. There is other cards. We want to be able to discard Ad Nauseam if we play against another Ad Nauseam. We can't. There's a lot of cards that cost more than 4 mana, and that can screw us very bad. So Thoughtseize here is to me the right choice over Inquisition or over any other discard. Over Duress as well. I think Duress was played before the new Eldrazi's. I think the Thought-Knot here it's played a lot. It's played in Tron, in Sideboard. It's played in Eldrazi, of course. It's played in Eldrazi Taxes as well. That's something they cannot put on turn 1. They can manage to do it on turn 2. Which is lucky for them, but the deck is built around it, so we'll be able to see it. So we'll always be able to remove these Thought-Knots here by Thoughtseize turn 1. So that's the card. I used to play 3 Thoughtseize, and I always realized that because it's really difficult to sideboard, because there's not many cards we want to sideboard out. So I always end up bringing only 2 Thoughtseize. So I just realized that 2 Thoughtseize is probably the optimum number that we want in our sideboard. The next card is Slow the Pact. Slow the Pact is this pact just working so well in the deck. Everything that applied to Pact Negation applied for Slow the Pact. We can Slow the Pact and then do Angel Grace. So if we don't want to pay the cost, we can do things like that. We can combo on while the triggers on the stack, things like this. So the Pact is great, and what is even better, it's if we have against a Spellskite, we can combo off first, and because Slow the Pact costs 0, we can combo off, use Slow the Pact to get rid of anything that prevents us to combo off, and then finish the combo. So Slow the Pact, amazing in that deck. And it's a pretty good card anyway. It's even the other deck. I've seen it in John, that this kind of deck also take advantage of Slow the Pact. Bossetchu. Now we're getting towards the hate against the control deck and the counter spell. So Bossetchu, for those I don't know who are not familiar with the card, enters tapped. We need to pay 2 life. It only adds colorless, and it can only be played for instant or sorcery. Very narrow, but whatever we play with that card cannot be countered by spells or abilities. So very narrow card, but it fits perfectly in the deck. It will be used to cast Ad Nauseam, since our Angel Grace already cannot be countered. It's more complicated than that. It can be countered in some corner case. It can be countered by Chalice of the Void, for example, but not by any traditional mean. That's for sure. So Bossetchu will be used to cast Ad Nauseam, and then if we play, let's say, against control and we have 4 Pact of Negation, if we manage to do Bossetchu casting Ad Nauseam with Bossetchu, then we draw our deck, and then we eventually have 4 Pact of Negation in hand, so we can do a Lightning Storm and be pretty safe in our counter war with 4 Pact of Negation. So amazing card here. Some people play 2. I completely understand. I never tried the double Bossetchu because, well, that's legendary. But I guess I might be tempted to try double Bossetchu because it's fairly hard to just bump into it, since we only play 1. But instead, so let's transition. Instead of a second Bossetchu, I want to play Giga Draws. Giga Draws. We can play 1 blue to tap a permanent and replicate, which means we can do it as many times as we want. So what we're gonna do is, end of opponent's turn, we use all the blue that we can to tap all our opponent's land and blue source. Preferably, if we can't tap all the land, we just tap as many blue source as we can, and then we can just combo off next turn more safely. So it could be a second Bossetchu. I want to try that card because I think it's going to be very powerful. The argument against Giga Draws is because sometimes we combo out of mana rocks, so we won't have that many land to use to tap this blue to tap our opponent's land. All the lands produce blue, so on that side we're pretty good. All the land except the 2-plane, of course. Otherwise, if you look at everything produce blue. So we're pretty good on that. And the reason is because we want to be able to cantrip turn 1. Other than that, all our land should be able to be used to Giga Draws. Another argument is we have Gemstone Mine, and sometimes we will only have one counter left on Gemstone Mine. So we might not be able to use it for our Giga Draws. So I want to try it out. So that's I haven't seen it that much in Ad Nauseam. I've seen it before, but that's not common for sure. So let's try that. That's my first I would say personal touch in that deck. Then Patrician Scorn, it's very, very popular. I would say it's kind of an old tech. We see it less and less. But if you look at the deck list, 1, 2, 3 years ago, everyone was playing at least one Patrician Scorn. And it's once again the ability to cast something without paying its mana cost. For those who are not familiar with the card, if you've cast another wild spell this turn, you can cast Patrician Scorn for free. And it just destroys all enchantment. So why we want to destroy all enchantment? Well, we can have corner cases like we play against a Line of Sanctity. So we want to be able to Lightning Storm, so we destroy the Line of Sanctity. But to me, it's for Blood Moon. Blood Moon is a very annoying card. Even if we have the mana rocks, I always found that I struggled extremely against Blood Moon. It's very hard to have all these mana rocks in play. It doesn't always work out the way you want when you play against Blood Moon. So having Patrician Scorn is, well, let's say you got Blood Moon, and then you just keep doing your thing, put your land, even if they're all mountain, just keep going. And then if you manage to have one white source, so one of these plane, or have one mana rock, for example, you could even play the mana rock, the prism, for 1 by using 2 red from your land, and just have 1. And if you have that 1 white source, you can do Angel Grace, and Angel Grace will give you that white spell, and then you can Patrician Scorn for free, destroy all enchantment, which means destroy Blood Moon, and then finish off the combo with your proper lands. It's going to be very useful against Blood Moon. And again, it destroys all enchantment. It can be used against Boggles. It can be used against other deck that use enchantment. And also something that we can do. The problem is we have an enchantment that's piece of combo, so it will destroy our Fear Action and Life. What we can do is we can cast Fear Action and Life while it's on the stack. By keeping priority, we cast Patrician Scorn, which means that it will destroy all the enchantment first while the Fear Action and Life is on the stack, and then the Fear Action and Life resolve. So we can save our Fear Action and Life by still using the fact that we just cast it. That's important. That will happen. We need to be aware of that. And the last one, that's my personal deck tech, Pollen Lullaby. I will just show the card because it's not easy to understand how this thing works. It prevents all common damage that will be dealt this turn. This is just a darkness effect. Darkness is a very common card in the Ad Nauseam sideboard. It's played a lot, so in that sense it's not very exotic to play Pollen Lullaby, but it's just a more expensive darkness with a lot of additional effect. So we can clash with an opponent, and if we win, creatures that player controls don't untap during the next untap step. So if we win the clash, it's like a double darkness, because our opponent won't be able to attack with the creature he has attacked that turn. So it can be potentially some kind of a double darkness effect. And what a clash is, because there's not many, maybe not at all, not any a modern staple that's using a clash. As far as I know, I've never clashed with anyone in modern except Lullaby. So when we clash, we just reveal the top card of our library. If we have a higher converted mana cost, we win the clash. If it's equal or lower, we don't win the clash, so it will just be a darkness. And the card that we just revealed, we can choose to put it on top or the bottom, which means it's a scry. So at the worst case scenario, we have here a darkness that's scry, a potentially double darkness. I believe the trade-off, which is paying white and paying 2 mana instead of 1 black for darkness, I believe it's worth it. Well, that's just my opinion, and we'll see if it works out well during the league we're gonna play. But I really believe that card is great. It's a better darkness in that deck. And that's it. So that's the deck. That's the deck I'm going to play for the next fire match. Hopefully we get some good matchups, some good draws, and I wish I can show the power of Ad Nauseam. I believe this is a great deck. It's a great deck in modern. The meta is looking okay. It's looking good for Ad Nauseam. I've got quite a bit of good results over the past months playing Ad Nauseam. In paper mostly, a bit in MTGO. And yes, so the goal of this channel will be just to build a library of match Ad Nauseam versus the modern meta, and then hopefully we can better understand where this deck is situated in the meta, and hopefully we can build a community of Ad Nauseam lovers. And what I want to do in the future is also try new version of Ad Nauseam. Less, I would say, we have Gift Ungiven Ad Nauseam that exists. We have Glittering Wish Ad Nauseam. All these kind of things that I'm really looking forward to try out after we spend a bit of time playing this standard version, so I can introduce the channel through that more sound and robust deck. So here it is. I hope you liked this first video, and see you soon in the first match of a league. Thank you all.